If you were 18 again, lost, no direction, no money, where would you start? So what was the biggest mindset shift that happened in your life?
I think the biggest one was responsibility. I am responsible for it.
How did you figure out that ADHD was something that you were struggling with?
When you don't know you have ADHD, you think you're just lazy. The only question is, how much does it impact your life? Productivity was then the fascinating part. How do I change my current life?
Meet Archer.
He scaled a party brand to 6 figures.
Once a kid with severe ADHD. Today, he builds businesses across continents.
I think the biggest predictor for goal achievement for me was clarity. If you want to do hardcore and you want to change your life, you need...
But I'm wondering, how did someone with ADHD become an expert in productivity, time management and planning?
You know, if you would ask my friends who know me since I'm a child, they would never think that I would even graduate, I guess. I was really bad. Like, my ADHD was very severe in the past. I was only playing games. I repeated class 2 times. So I was in the 7th and 8th grade twice. And what did change? I mean, my trip to Japan, I think a person with ADHD needs, first of all, a reason. So I came to Japan, I want to live here, I had my reason. And then with the reason, then I had to just fail a lot, I guess. Fail and see what I want. And if I don't grow, I wouldn't get what I want. And yeah, productivity was then the fascinating part. Like, how do I change my current life? And it was really about, okay, how I have to just get more done. So that helped me so much to grow the events business as well. I had to study, I had my events business, and I had a part-time job. So, of course, my studies have suffered the most from all of them. I just wanted to survive. But basically, just by trial and error, and psychology helps a lot to understand ADHD, understand the problems. But I would say the number one key factor to grow is failing fast. So I failed a lot.
You failed a lot.
Yeah.
That's a scary one, but it's also the best and the only, like,
I love it.
Just get you send it straight into it.
You get addicted to failing. Is that a good thing to say? Well,
I mean, you get the result. You get quicker the result if it doesn't work, and that's information still, right?
That's the thing, actually. The information of what doesn't work, and then you readjust towards what could work.
Yeah.
I think that it took me way too long to understand that. To understand, like, just fail.
But how did you figure out that ADHD was something that you were struggling with? Like, for people that also have ADHD and don't know they have it, like, how did you figure out that it was something? Was it through your psychology, or what was the
You know, when you don't have ADHD, when you don't know you have ADHD, you think you're just lazy.
Oh.
So first of all, you're like, you don't think big of it. You're like, okay, I just like to game. It's just my interest. But then I realized that I behave in ways that is not really typical, right? That I could game for 10 hours. I could really not understand the concept of time. I would be able to think of 100 ideas and execute none. There is some predictors of what could be ADHD, right? But I wouldn't like to name them because everyone will think they have ADHD. Everyone has symptoms that are very natural to not be focused. However, I would say the ADHD really is the inability to regulate. So is it too much or too little? Too much also exists, right? And yeah, I think if people struggle, or if they want to find out if they have ADHD, the only question is, how much does it impact your life? By the DSM-5, if you want to diagnose ADHD, there is a clause. It has to onset at the age of 7. First of all, ADHD is a brain difference, and that's why you early on understand you have it. If you don't, it doesn't just appear. So you need kind of evidence that at the age of 7 to like your early age, that something was going wrong. For me, it was failing school and really being the worst of the class, right?
I can feel you there.
Yeah. So just impact. How much does it impact your life? How much has it impacted your life? Only that matters. It doesn't matter if you can focus or if you cannot focus. Do you get things that you want?
Okay. And then if you realize that could be something, then where can you start from there? Like, what would, in your experience, when you started out to change certain habits, behaviors, like, what was the thing that made the biggest change?
Clarity. I think the biggest predictor in general for goal achievement for me was clarity. And that's also what was my main way of teaching towards the clients. If you have multiple ideas, skills, and sets, and you have so much going on, if you don't have a clear idea of where you want to be at the end of the year, I usually like to do a yearly perspective, but also 3 months and 1 month perspective, and focusing purely on the process. Not on what you want. Okay, you can write it down, that's cool. But what is the process needed? If your brain has a step-by-step plan to achieve that process, you basically already do half of the job of fighting against ADHD. But if you really want to level up, you will just implement more and more organizational things. Your brain itself doesn't want to organize. But your brain itself also, when you don't see it, it will forget it.
Yeah.
So the only habit that I would advise to start is to plan. Let's say every month your month and every week your week, and have some sort of organization. If that becomes the habit, then all the other habits will become much more easy to create.
And what type of planning would you make? Is like you have one thing you would like to do in that month and you cut it up? Because I always found that even sitting down to do the planning, just create that structure was always quite hard. And
That's a skill itself.
yeah.
And it requires high thinking. And most of the ADHD brains, we don't want to stay engaged in a worrying task for too long. So you will not easily pull through that period. But of course there is some structure, right? So I would first write down, what do I want? But more specific, not I want to be the millionaire at the end of the year. So let's say you do want to be a millionaire at the end of five years. How much could you achieve this year? Or maybe a portion, maybe you start off, maybe you just want to double your income, let's say. You make 2,000 euros now, you want to make 4,000. How do you do that? Then you will look at, okay, what are the potential paths I could go? And then you could plan all the potential paths, and then you will see, okay, what do I have to do besides of that what I want? Let's say school, work, anything else.
Yeah.
Then you fill that, and then you realize, oh, all the ideas I have versus the time and money I have available doesn't match. So you have to take out until you find a few that you can do with only spending 2 hours a day. That I would advise for people who have a full-time commitment to somewhere else. 2 hours a day plus weekends is the time you need. And then I would break it down. Big concept, then breaking down the outcome into actions. And then I break the action down from 1 year to 3 months to 1 month to 1 week. I would not plan month 4 and 12 in depth because everything can change.
Okay.
So only 3 months, 90-day quarters, and then after the quarter ends, plan the next 90 days. But always have the yearly goal in mind. So you are intentional with the planning.
With the steps you make towards it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I found that usually the planning takes so long because I go into not the things that I have to fully focus on, and then it takes so long, and then it's like I still haven't done anything, but it feels like you've done something, or it doesn't feel like you've done something, but you have been working or trying to plan it out.
Yeah. I mean, if you want a tip for that, before you do the task and the action, write your goals for that task.
Oh, okay.
At the end of this 2-hour session, I want to have found at least 2 ideas that I want to execute on.
Okay.
So if you give your brain an end line, especially as an ADHD person, if you have an unlimited task, let's say, do as many as you can, it never works. Instead, if you have, I am happy if I achieve 3 in 2, like 3 tasks, let's say 3 subtasks in 1 hour, and you can measure them really clear. Let's say video editing.
Yeah.
You finish 3 videos in 1 hour. That's your goal. And if you finish earlier, you're still done. Instead of trying to edit as much as I can in 1 hour. That doesn't usually work.
So you really have a measurable thing. And you also said something that the best way to measure is by the amount of hours you put into it. Have you ever said that? Is that
I mean, there's different...
Depending on
your outcome, right? So there are moments and tasks where time is not relevant. Is the outcome really relevant for time? If you have to make 12 videos for client X, he doesn't care if you did it in 20 or 40 hours. But if you have 50 videos to edit, and if you don't finish, let's say 3 videos per hour, you will never make it. Then time and outcome together
are important.
Should be paired, yeah. But if you don't have clear measurable things, if you don't have an exact outcome, I would still do time at least.
Yeah, because I found that sometimes you need some type of reward system, at least to feel like you're making progress.
Exactly.
Especially with when you get distracted or you find it already hard to stay on one thing. Well, you need that reward system. You just have to make up something that works for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So how did you do that for yourself when you were trying to figure that out?
Yeah. So for me, the reward thing was quite difficult. So, but I used Pomodoro in the end. Just my reward was a 5-minute break every 25 minutes, and then like the 30-minute break. But I did also things like back then when I was gaming a lot, I just played games after 2 hours, or I went, outside, or I went to eat, or if I successfully did sets of focus, I can eat out.
Oh, so you had really like a reward system in place.
Yeah, like I had a few things. Luckily I was quite well off as a student because
you were making money with your party business.
And also with
business.
Yeah, and also with I also had like a help from the government to that time because studying duo something.
Oh yeah, you get
so
study fiduciary.
So it was like a parallel, and I was quite well off. That's why I could eat outside anytime, but I gave myself like limits like that.
And you used it so that it was also a reward.
Yeah.
And I like that you used the gaming then as well, because in essence you probably was, in that time, you really were eager to only do that.
Yeah.
Like you had a goal, you wanted to do something else, but your brain was like, man, start some gaming.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta acknowledge the shit in you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And one big tip I want to give: do only changes that are closest to what you already do. Don't try to force yourself into a reward that doesn't feel like a reward for you.
Yeah.
Let's say I reward myself with a nice walk in the sun.
Yeah.
From a gamer to that, it's impossible. You need something that you really crave. If you are a person who's overweight and you love chocolate, that chocolate reward will feel great.
Yeah.
But, if you don't eat chocolate, I guess, and you don't care about chocolate, and you put your reward chocolate, then you
doesn't
don't
work.
Sometimes we take goals and rewards that are socially accepted, like going for a walk, meditate and stuff. But if you can, it's cool. But when you start off, you usually can't.
And it doesn't fully charge you, huh?
Yeah. It's the best for your brain if you have like a meditative period as a break or as a reward. But reality is you need some shit. You need something that is not perfect. You need some, you were good in that period of focus. Reward yourself with something that's not good. And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Many gurus are like, but I was like,
I feel especially when you're starting out, just use anything that make the ball rolling in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's something that you try not to do. If you can leverage as a reward, then it's just a win, right?
Yeah, I mean, push the ball down a hill instead of up a hill. And I feel like many people do that, especially with all the discipline content. Be a man, be disciplined, be powerful. All cool. Reality. Pick a small thing to change.
Yeah.
And keep everything else quite similar, and change one thing at a time.
Yeah.
I think that's how you will do this fail and trial and error. You want to focus, you don't focus, you go back. And it will go a little bit like this. It will not go like... Sometimes it goes like this, then you crash, then you hear a bit, then you go up a bit, crash again.
Yeah, expectations versus reality, huh?
Yeah. Just being more realistic. I think that's...
Helps with the mind as well. That you don't have to expect that everything is going great straight away. So you don't have these high, unreachable things on your path.
I also have a trick for that as well, actually.
Oh yeah?
Always half the expectations that you have. And always put your goal half as high as you think it will be.
Like for the day goal, you mean then? Or
Let's say you want to achieve... You think you can achieve 6 videos in 1 hour. Put 3.
Yeah.
Or let's say you want to do 3 videos. You think it takes you 1 hour. Double it. It's 2 hours. Just add some risk.
Especially when it's the first time, right? When you do something.
Yeah.
Because now I'm figuring out how much time things actually cost, so I can plan it in way better because I know the actual input of my time to what I get out. But in the beginning, I had unrealistic ideas that I thought like I can make this so quickly, and then it turned out like no, it's not true.
Yeah, you're in video editing, right? As well in video creation, you can spend 12 hours on a video.
Yeah.
I guess you first have to see that and figure out and see all the pain before you start reducing it.
Yeah. I think reducing is one of the later stadia of the process, right?
Yeah.
If you start by reducing, then that's not
doesn't really work. I used to make one video in a day, let's say 6 videos in a whole month. Now I do 12 videos in a day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's something I would I would want to take some of your ability from there.
No, you just gotta suffer a bit.
Suffer a bit. I like that. What in your whole process when you were trying to get over your ADHD or seeing it as a problem, or what was for you the best way to keep consistent?
Consistency, right? ADHD and consistency doesn't really work. I think I was not consistent until very recently. I think it's sprints. Looking at it as sprints, instead of having this all-time high, I would rather see what are the things I want to do. And it's more ADHD friendly to have a shorter period of a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then kind of you can kind of fuck up in the between. But by doing these periods and sprints, let's say I will do one day perfectly, let's say with all the habits and everything and the work. And then I will just start slowly getting more days in it. And then suddenly you get addicted to productivity. And now I cannot stop working. So that's the thing. First, it's difficult, but looking at as a muscle, it's just reps, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe more concrete. In order to make it consistent, you need a small increase, and then you might fail, but then you need again a small increase. And you fail, you increase. You fail, you increase. It's like focusing. You lose focus. You remind yourself you have to be back on a topic.
Yeah.
And then you lose focus again. And the skill is actually that coming back again. This step of, oh shit, I should focus, and getting back into it. Having as many reps of this will probably create this consistency.
So what you're saying is when you try a new habit, you're not even, like the desire isn't to do it fully perfect for 100 days. It's just like you do it a few days. Like you try to keep on, but if you fail, you just try to do it again the next day and try to rewind the whole and do it again, and be all right with the dip of failing, of not doing it, and just say like, okay, I just have to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, focusing of having, let's say, 3 days of success should be, their goal should rather be, I want to be able to do this one day as a whole day, instead of I wanted to do this habit perfectly for the next 30 days. But I would rather say I would like to start with 3 days in a row, 5 days in a row, 7 days in a row. So you can start a challenge. Day 1, you go. At day 4 you fail. Okay, I made it to 4. Starting back at day 1, day 7. That's how I got into sports.
Yeah. The 30-day, I went to the gym 30 days. You filmed it.
Yeah, and first it was like 7 days I failed a lot, and then in the end I was like maybe at like 100 something days.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To that time it was important to me. To be honest, now it's less important. Now I need more time to work. But yeah, that's how I did it. Smaller goals.
And just making streaks for yourself.
Exactly.
And just try to beat it again and beat it again.
Just gamify it. Make it like it's a game.
And was it for you important that you said like, okay, I have to just restart it again and restart? Because if you not restart, then you just have this long period of not getting back into it then, right?
Yeah, the starting is probably the hardest. So yeah, the starting was, let's say, if I failed after 3 days, sometimes I had a period when I was gone for 2 weeks. However, by doing this exercise again and again, also this, let's call it this void period, got shorter.
Oh, okay.
So 3 days, I fail for 2 weeks, then maybe somewhere down the road, after I achieve 30 days, I fail and my void period's only like 5 days. Then become shorter and shorter.
Until that feeling of like, shit, I'm doing it again. And then you just want to start, and that just becomes quicker and quicker.
Yeah, exactly. If it becomes emotionally attached, that you feel like bad if you don't do it, then you start to win more and more.
I like that. Yeah, that's the point where I've gained now as well.
Yeah.
I'm at that point where I see that my void period is becoming less and less. And I'm also getting okay that I always will have a void period.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get rid of it. I'm just trying to make it smaller and smaller, because that is more reasonable.
Yeah. And that's how I would do it. Like smaller goals, but really, really realistic goals.
Yep.
And then, well, if you want a negative motivation, picture yourself not achieving these tasks in like 6 months. Then you will be exactly where you were before in 6 months. Maybe that's not so happy, right? And then you can picture yourself with, well, what if, because you did so simple goals, what if you overperform and you can do more than you expected yourself to do? That feels usually always great.
Yeah.
So like a push-pull motivation.
Wild folks on the ladder.
Yeah. It's just one step at a time, I guess. People want to make 2 big jumps at a time.
So from your personal coaching business, you also started growing your B2B business, right? And that is your marketing business growing agency. Is that right?
Yeah, I have a few things actually. So it's like a business scaling agency, focuses mainly on marketing and sales, but also on process and also on like how to reduce costs here and there, but it starts with marketing. But I also run an export company.
Yep.
I'm German, I guess. So I have a German company as well. So I ship things that I like here, or I build brands on things I like here that I think will be great in Europe. For example, right now it's pottery. Okinawan pottery is kind of famous all over Japan, but not in Europe. So we started a new brand based on that. And my marketing agency works a lot from me, actually. So I started this because I needed it. And now it's a more stable business if I also offer the same to other people. So actually, that for me closes the circle. I coach people. If they want to start a business, I help them build the business. If they get bigger, I can bring it to Europe. And that creates this whole circle.
So you're learning all the skills for yourself, and now you're bringing it to others. And in that way, you're just...
The cool thing is the ADHD period of my life where I learned every skill now helps me. Now I don't need all the skills anymore, but now I know about all of it. I now pay people, of course, for video editing, but I know enough of everything to manage expectations and understanding of also like, when does someone overcharge me? How long should it take? Just all these things, all this knowledge now
more reasonable.
Is so helpful.
And focusing a bit more on the part of social media marketing, because that is what you also now do for your other business. You're trying to scale it through social media, short form content.
Yeah.
But if someone would like to start from scratch, to grow their own social media platform and eventually also sell a product or a service, where would you say they could start from?
Well, it will sound a bit basic. Everyone says it's the same, but it is always the same. It's the right target audience. It's the right pain points. It's the right unique positioning, right? I think 90% starts with, where is your destination? How specific and how niche is it? If you say, yeah, my product could be liked by everyone, you probably will take a long while until you get there. You can choose one specific niche and then you go and grow into a bigger place. But I think, again, the clarity comes back. If you're not clear on what you have, what it offers, what it solves, and do people need and buy this, then it's hard to do. If you have all of that, then the next step is just testing data. Just testing first testing all topics, simple format. Just let's say you talk into the camera format and you just record the different topics and headlines, what you think is important. And then you see which one has the most average view time based on the kind of the winners there, I would start making now more engaging content, like upgrading your whole process. Maybe instead of just facing, you actually do interviews, podcasts, and whatever. There are all these different forms. And then I would just add more and more variables. So the growth on social media is on how fast do you get the data that tells you which videos work well.
That's where the growth is.
Yeah.
To get that
data, yeah.
piece of information.
And then you just do, I think Mr. Beast also said it, if you want to be a good YouTuber, do 100 YouTube videos and learn something on each video. And when he says learn, for me it means gain data and try it different to see if it increases the engagement rate, basically.
So did you say that to get those data, you just make a video in a way that you can make as many as you can to get more data, to then go deeper into what works and then make better quality and
I think that's at least my approach. I do quantity over quality first. Because many people just make, especially when you start, you just don't have the resources to make high quality. And even if you spend on it and then you need 2 weeks for one video, it takes you too long to find the right thing. So I would, if you get people to like what you do with shitty quality, it will work if you have good quality.
Why does that make so much sense?
Why does it sound so impossible for people, right? And it just has to flow into your natural life. Like, you need to be able to do that. Minimum 3 videos a week. On a very relaxed basis, you can achieve that. I'm not encouraging shitty content. When I say low quality, I mean video quality, cutting, effects, all of this quality is low, but the content core, the script, the storyline, and what you're able to show, share, and solve the problems of the people, that's the key. Like the content's message, I think that's the key. And because of AI, there's a lot of things going on, right? So you can utilize it to your advantage. You can get a lot of things done and test these fast, but the human touch becomes more and more important. So like actually, funnily, these low quality videos are getting higher in popularity
because they seem more real.
Yeah, exactly.
More honest.
Yeah, so it's a good time to start, even though the algorithm is a bit tough.
Yeah.
But the algorithm is not tough. It's just people haven't figured out what works.
And you can only figure out what works if you get more data.
Yeah.
And that is through a lot of videos.
Yeah, and every time you think, oh, I think, let's say you're in the Netherlands, people would like my type of content.
Yeah.
It's just the assumption. And it has to be different enough to differentiate you from another guy, right?
Yeah.
And you just test.
So what you said was that the content that you use, the main goal is just to get as much data as you can to be able to make then something that works for the niche or the thing that you're trying to grow in. And based on that, you can start growing and scaling. But at first, you need something that works as in you can achieve making 3 videos a week sustainably. Because if it's too big of a goal for yourself, you will stop doing it, and then it's not sustainable.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, and the algorithm will show you. There is one limitation. Especially, I mean, there's VPNs, but in Instagram, these physical location, the restrictions. If you're in the Netherlands and you make content, it usually starts where you are, then it grows and shows it to more and more people.
Oh, really?
So if you're in the Netherlands, you make Japanese content, only Japanese, it will probably not reach a lot of So that's something maybe I'm not fully aware of, but I use ads. That's how I get the other people.
Yeah.
But basically, also be aware of the people that you want to reach. Can you even reach them with where you are?
It makes sense. Yeah, because the videos that now I've been making, I would rather actually post them in Australia than when I'm back in the Netherlands. If what you said to be true, because I say everything in English, I'm not sure if then there probably is a percentage of Dutch people that doesn't even like English videos. So would that then have a negative effect on the
I
results?
think so. I think the conversion rate of, like, let's say it the other way. The conversion rate is highest with the native language spoken of your target audience. If I'm in Japan, if I do English content, my chances to go viral are way lower. Actually, I tested that with one of my clients. They own a restaurant. I made content in Japanese and in English. I hire actors and stuff. The ones in Japanese went viral. I have 1 million views on like a Japanese random video. And a lot of others got like 100,000 views. And the English one stuck on like 3,000 views on a 10,000 follower account. It's just...
Yeah, I've seen someone explaining it in circles. Like you have your own following, then
Exactly.
if it goes through, then it goes to a little bit more around you and a bit more and a bit more. But then if it's also based on location, then
Yeah,
the languages.
in the beginning, of course. But if you have followers in Australia and you have 1,000 of them,
Yeah.
and that's the, let's say the main followers is like Australians,
Yeah.
then your algorithm, okay, now the algorithm understands where to push. But a 0 follow account will not know. He will just take, okay, this dude posted here, probably it's like that. I'm not sure if you can buy like an account made in Australia and post with a VPN, if that works. Never worked for me, but I'm not a tech pro, I guess.
Yeah.
If that works, would be cool.
Yeah, because I've found so even here in Japan when I get ads that are still in Dutch, so it still knows that I'm Dutch.
Yeah. They could also retarget you. Like they've hit you one day and you're in their pool who watched or clicked, and then you.
So from now they know.
Yeah.
They know who I am. When you started your first company, and then afterwards, or your personal coaching, and then into your marketing company, what was for you the main drive to become an entrepreneur?
I never thought I would be an entrepreneur.
Really?
It's such a simple reason why I started. My first business was the events company, right?
Yeah.
I like hip hop music. So I tell you exactly what made me start this. I moved to the Netherlands. Netherlands is famous for techno. There is no hip hop party. I like hip hop. Okay, then I have to create my own party. That's it. Personal interest. I wanted hip hop. Appears that other people also like that. And that's how it grew. So one party to the other, started with 200 people, ended up with 2,000 people. And I sold it before I came here. But yeah.
And what about your marketing agency?
That's the thing now. In that 4 years where you're in the business and you have to make more sales and you have to learn so many skills.
Yeah.
And then you have ADHD, right? And you learn all these skills.
Yeah.
I kind of realized the beauty of business and how naturally I fit in there. Because I realized I cannot work for people. I'm uncontrollable. If they do something that I see is not worth my time, or I think it could be more productive, I hated it.
Yeah.
And yeah, one thing led to another, and this addiction to grow and learn new knowledge. That was how I became an entrepreneur. I think you become an entrepreneur if you cannot bear all your ideas in your head anymore.
You just need to...
You need to check how it works out. And I think that's how I became an entrepreneur. Like nowadays, if I have an idea, I check if I can execute it. But most strong ideas, I do. I execute. Well, over the time I learned I should analyze better and not start too many too fast.
Yeah.
Which I did before and I failed a lot, right? But still, every round I did that, I learned so much.
I like when you said I only do 3 things at a time now.
Oh yeah. Oh.
That's a good stopping point of not starting a new project while also working on others.
I think the cap is for now until I hire more. Once I hire even more, I increase the productivity and maybe get someone who also does like the hard thinking, then I can move on. My goal is to have many small companies. Small means not $1 billion, but maybe like $1 million companies. Many of them, instead of having this one company that becomes a huge thing.
Why is that?
Then you can realize more of these ideas.
I think you can get the joy out of all of these.
I think it's a personal preference. I'm not money motivated. I do have everything I want in life. And it's more of a, I like it, I think. I'm addicted to it, I think.
That's the main passion, the main joy you get from it is just going after these ideas and working them out, and then overcoming all the hurdles along the way?
The growth. I think I like growth. I like to see grow. So you hear a lot about ADHD people. They like to start things and they don't finish them.
Yeah, that's a big one I've heard.
So let's say like this. I want to become the person who starts them until they are very profitable, and then I outsource it and I don't do them anymore.
Oh, so you have the whole fun part, and then it's an asset.
Yeah. And so I use I think nowadays, without this ADHD power, I would never have the energy to do all of that.
Why would you say that?
Like now, I guess if you learn to control a chaos, and now I created, why do I take 3 projects? It's still a chaos, but it's because I can control the chaos, I can do more than a person who cannot control a chaos, but he's good at like 1 project. I think not everyone can handle the amount of different projects. For example, right now, maybe this month I have to make 60 to 120 reels, I guess, for others included, right? And at the same time, run all the other things, operations, dealing with some administrative stuff in Japan, I guess, that takes way too much time. But yeah, it's a superpower. So ADHD is a locked superpower. And if you learn to unlock it, you'll be crazy.
So you figured out what worked for you, and you just capped your ability on something that you saw that wouldn't work if I restrained it. And in that way, it's now working for you instead of against you.
Yeah, and many people would advise me against it. Probably senior level business owners, 60 plus, they will be like, still young, stupid kid. But I think I will keep on the style, being a bit more all over the place, but be more in alignment with how I naturally operate. So I find the best way to operate in my current state or my being, and it has downsides.
What type of downsides?
I think if I would focus only on one company, that one company will grow faster.
Yep.
However, I don't think I'll be very fulfilled with that.
So you're just trying to figure out what works for you.
Exactly.
Get the most. This creates the most purpose for yourself. Right?
Yeah. I like to be seen a little bit of crazy, like seen as a bit crazy. Like why the hell would he start this now? I think that's the personal identity I strive for.
Just be different.
Yeah, successful, but it shouldn't be.
You made it so. Yeah, but then it means it's authentic because it hasn't been done before then. Right?
Yeah. And that's usually the most risky businesses, these things. But I love them. I'm very drawn to that, to these businesses that are like new things, and you shouldn't, and you need a lot of budget actually. Now I know the limits, and that's also good now. I know I cannot start a new tech company now. Yeah. But I know I can start a new type of export-import process.
Because you have the capital for that to start it.
Yeah, it's a bit all in the money. If you have the money, you can start anything anytime.
You've gained the limits, you've gained the ranges you can achieve in your own time. You know your abilities.
Exactly.
By failing a whole bunch.
Yeah. Time and money, I think you learn how to control that really well.
It's both like time is your first greatest asset, right? And then money is a good tool afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, that took me a long time to realize. I spent a lot of money in the first years of entrepreneurship on random stuff. Way too much. Yeah. Many people think they have to be this outsourcing master, and most people just don't want to do the shit work first. But I think you first have to be a master of what you outsource.
Otherwise, you don't know what the limits, the time periods, and everything, right?
Yeah, and you instruct people to a certain level. You will never. Now I know I will never be as good as a videographer as the ones that I hire. Even though I think I'm good the way I am, but I still have the capacity to understand how far they could go. Now,
because you've done it yourself first.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I'm still not them, but it gives you like an understanding. The same way if a mathematician can understand the fourth dimension, with mathematics. Yeah. It makes only sense if you are in math a bit, even if you're not there yet.
Yeah. It will take a long time to explain that to someone then.
Yeah.
If you were 18 again, lost, no direction, no idea, you have no money, Where would you start?
Go to Japan.
That's a good start.
Find a dream. Find a purpose. I think that's... Find something that could keep you suffering and you still endure it for a long time. I think that's easier said than done. Because how do you find that?
Something that makes you suffer?
That's something that makes you endure any suffering. My goal to Japan was unbreakable. It doesn't matter. Like, people thought I'm crazy, that I will never make it and stuff. I was like, nah, man. It's impossible that I will fail. It took me 8 years, though. It took me 8 years, and yeah. Had that, and that will, and that... It's a lot of soft skills that cannot be taught. I think all these soft skills you can only learn through failing. Hyper failing. If I'd be 18 again, I mean, I wouldn't change anything. I'm super happy of how things played out.
But for someone that is 18 right now, and they don't know, like, what's an actual failing? Like, how would they start? What is the skill they can develop right now to begin their process?
Okay, so
to get some purpose and to...
So first, I would start with the ideation, right? I would first write all these ideas down. I would write 100 ideas down, and I would look closely at the last 10. The first 20 are easy. I will start a YouTube channel. I will do dropshipping. I will do e-commerce, right? And then you go, the more you ideate, the deeper you go, you find more specific things. And basically, I would like to find out how much can I do in a year? How many of these things I can try out? How much money do I need? If I do need money, well, then I have to take into account, okay, I need a part-time job. I can save this much money. With this part-time job and this much money, how many of these can I test? And I would basically build a network of, let's say, strategic tests. It sounds very absurd for people who are 18 right now to say that, though.
It does, yeah.
So to make it, let me try again, more simple. If I would be 18, I would look to find out what do I currently like the most. To a very deep level. I would analyze all my years before. What have I liked since I'm a kid? What have I not liked since I'm a kid? What am I good at since I'm a kid? What am I not good at since I'm a kid? With that, I would brainstorm on the things I like the most, all the things. And with that self-knowledge, I would go into ChatGPT and put this all in and say, what options do you recommend me? Then he will give you some options. And then you will brainstorm yourself on top of these options. And then once you have all these options, I would start crossing out things. So let's say column A, I have all the options. In column B, then I will put all my restrictions. This is the amount of money I have. This is the amount of time I have. This year, which of these options are impossible? 90% of your list will be gone, right? And then the remaining parts of these ideas, I would then start to prioritize from 1 to 10. I would start with the one that is the easiest to start, even if it doesn't make you successful. And then I would just give it a period of time. Let's say idea 1, 3 months max. Idea 2, and so on and so on. And then I will go through all of them until you will find the right thing and the big idea.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Because in that makes the actionable and the way to fail but get the information what works way better. Because you have already cut down to all the ideas that you had. You then have something that's reasonable in the time and your resources that you have, and then you can start trying and erroring.
Yeah. Maybe that's to complete the circle. Trial and error without reflecting is useless.
Where would you implement reflecting then in this?
After these 3 months, if you do to the next step, why would you not continue? What have you learned? Why is it not worth it? Is it time? Is it money? Is it skill? And sometimes it's also scalability. If I learn to be a video editor, you will be outsourced by someone in a different country for a lot cheaper. So is it worth it to learn for you? So you have to assess, you have to see the market in that current situation, what does the market need as well? So at the end of each process, I would reflect, what does it mean to me? And what does it mean to the market today and 5 years from now? Because whoever watches this, the market that you are currently in, that dictates the next move.
Because that is where you can
Yeah.
get the most leverage from.
Yeah, like so many things 5 years ago would be cool. Now with AI, I wouldn't advise you to become a copywriter today.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so, but maybe 5 years ago you would.
So you take the next 5 years into account.
There's no real rule, but make your research. Market research is probably the first skill you should learn as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to dumb it all down, just actions.
Actions.
Yeah. Reflect on what you did, and then do it again.
The saddest person will be the ambitious overthinker who's lazy.
Yeah.
Who have all these ideas, you overthink each step and you never start them and you feel bad about it. That's the worst place to be.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it's very common.
I've had great ideas, thought them out, never done anything.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to learn the opposite. Action.
Yeah.
Do different things.
Okay, I give you one more tip to do the fastest action.
Okay.
A business plan.
Business plan.
A full business plan. Not, I would like to do this business. Google a template. It's all in there. SWOT, financial projection, financial analysis, market analysis, competitive, like all those things. To create one good business plan, you will need a lot of time. If you have not done a business plan, this idea doesn't exist.
And you're not meaning like use ChatGPT to make a business plan, make it yourself, right?
You know what? You can even use ChatGPT, but you have to fill out the depth. You really need like to think about it a month, let's say. I remember, I'm not allowed to say this, but well, I was working at a company X in the Netherlands. I made 5 days sick, went to the library, and I created like the coaching business idea.
Really?
Yeah. I created the offers, the competitive, like I did all the research in this 5 days, launched the company, and I started making money already like soon after that. Not much, but I started already.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So from the idea to the execution and making money was probably in a month.
Yeah. No, I mean, there was a lot of trial and error, but then I had the enlightening idea.
Yeah.
And I could not stop thinking about it. And I'm like, I have to write this down, and I create this whole system. In Maastricht, in that, what is this library called? I want to call out this library. By the beautiful bridge that is like, there's like a big bridge. Plein 1492 or something.
Yeah.
That library there.
That is the golden.
That's the golden
ticket.
library. 5th floor, overview over all Maastricht.
That's awesome. I like that sometimes the greatest ideas and then that story is just makes for a good story, even though you can say it out loud.
Yeah. I cannot say which company.
No, that's right. That's all right. But to continue slightly in there, like what would be the biggest mindset shift in when you started out that created your momentum to get purpose, and because the change happened when you were 18. So what was the biggest mindset shift that happened in your life?
I think the biggest one was responsibility. I am responsible for anything.
I am responsible for everything, anything.
So if I fail, it's my problem. If I don't grow, it's my problem. And I think the pain of not growing, that mindset shift, or like the desire to grow, I think that mindset shift was there. But you know, a lot of people always blame someone else. I don't really have the time, or well, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to have time.
Yeah.
I don't have the money. It's your responsibility to have the money. Everything you can solve. It's all your problem and your fault. I think to realize that was a thing. A lot of people blame themselves and self-pity. I think you gotta...
So does that bring the power back to you, and then you can start making actions from there?
Exactly. So it makes your reflection more clear. A lot of people are like, I want to do 7 times a week sports. And then when they do it, they have this, maybe I will only do 3 times. It's like, you don't stay responsible to yourself, right? Rather, say you will only do 2 times, but then you do 3 times. So the promise to yourself is the biggest promise that you can make. I think that realization, that hit me hard, and I stopped expecting things that I cannot do. Yeah,
Started getting more reasonable, and that's how you also got a better reward system in place for yourself.
exactly. The way should be fun, and somehow I got. Yeah, I also wanted to live. I also had big dreams as well. You can dream big, but your structural action plans should be small.
Okay. And to finish it off, can you tell me about one time in your life that could be an inspiration for anyone that's watching that has helped you the most in your last 8 years of total growth?
Travel. Make the money, don't spend it on a new iPhone, go travel. And I think get inspired, hear the stories, go around. Of course, I guess you got to be extroverted. Like you just speak to someone and next thing you see you on a podcast. So,
Yeah, it's true.
so
Yeah.
if you spend the money and you look for inspiration, if you have no idea, look for inspiration in others. I think it sounds a bit dependent, but it's just open your horizon. I think that's the number one thing. Don't do what everyone else thinks, and don't listen to anyone. Just do your own thing.
I like that.
Don't listen to me.
No, but I like the part of like if it's hard to find inspiration or something, just hear what other people say, and then your mind starts thinking, and then you just created your own thought, your own idea, and go from there.
Yeah, and actually to steal something from a reel, that's not my own knowledge now, humans' historical adaptation was always relocation.
Really?
Let's say you are a caveman and you fight against this and this animal. That was your main source of food. The animal dies. Okay, family, we go to the next place. And you just relocate. And with relocation, you can change everything.
I like that. Actually, with my travels, I actually experienced that. The first time that I went to Japan was to create discomfort for myself, because I thought I will be able to grow and learn more if I'm in a place where I don't know anyone. And it worked. And I've been doing that ever since. And it's just been periods in my life that I just try to do something out of my comfort zone.
And you can save up a whole year for one travel. Or if you want to do hardcore and you want to change your life, you need, I would say, 10 to 12K.
And then just go for it. 10,
12K, you quit your apartment, you move to a place where you can survive for $1,000 a month. Bali, Indonesia, it's the same thing. Like all Malaysia, Japan, Okinawa, you can do this. Find your low budget place where you can live and try to build the business that you already have. You should already have at least made $100 with whatever business you made. So at least you know you can make money, and then you live 1 year somewhere to try to grow this. Actually, that's what I did.
You did that?
Yeah, when I first came to Japan, I couldn't. Well, I sold my events company, but I didn't have reoccurring money the way I do now. So I gambled on it.
That it would work, and
yeah, it worked so well.
That's awesome.
So well.
So Archer, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting.
That was really awesome. This is a great moment if you want to have a plug, you want to put something in, like your Instagram. How can people reach you? Would you like to share any of your socials?
Well, I have still my coaching account, which I don't use too often anymore, but it's Archa_Okinawa.
Awesome. No, thank you so much for being on the Journey to Life podcast. And I've learned already so much, and I hope you guys have learned as well. If you guys have questions, put it in the comments, and we'll make sure Archer sees them.
Nice.
All right.
Cool.
Thank
you.
Awesome.